What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back, man. It's just been an amazing week, man. The Texans won this week against the Cincinnati Bengals and against Joe Burrow, man. It's an exciting time, man. We definitely want to catch this one today, man. I'm gonna jump right into it. Of course, we're excited about everything that we saw from CJ. We've been seeing it for the last few weeks. We're excited about everything that we saw from the Texans. So let's just get into giving them some love, man. Showing them some flowers, man. Listen, first and foremost, I know that I dropped a prediction. I dropped a video earlier in the week, and basically I was like running through all of my previous predictions for the Texans. And you know what, man? I took some time with each of those predictions to kind of think of my assessment of what I thought that the outcome of the game would be. And I use logistics and logic with my assessment of what it is that I thought that the game would be. And of course, every single time, man, there's always something that just blows everything out of the water. It was the same way this week, man. I looked at what we had as far as the roster and the inactives and the injuries and all of that stuff, and I was just amazed, man, because we know Jimmy Ward, man. We had a couple guys that came back. We definitely were short of Nico Collins, and with all things considered, no Damian Pierce. With all things considered, with the way that this team started and the way that the season started, we just were we've been overcoming all of these injury bugs and issues and stuff, and the continuity of the team has been suffering. But the one thing that stayed consistent is we've had CJ to kind of get us through. And so with all of the things that were in the mix as far as our attendance for the game, I was concerned that was going to be too much for us to overcome against Cincinnati Bengals. I couldn't be more wrong. I was just amazed by the way that the team showed up, man. So let's get right into it, man. I got to start laying out some flowers, man. First and foremost, respect to Noah Brown, man. Noah Brown, of course, he had the most integral part of the game where, he was the number one receiver. He put up, over 150 yards receiving. Of course, he had that last play where he broke through and just would not give up on the play and got the extra 14 yards to make it a much easier field goal attempt for the new field goal kicker, Amendola. And so it was a tremendous effort for Noah Brown. Got to give him credit first off the top. And then I got to give credit to Tank Dell, man. Tank Dell got hit with a shot. It was basically in his kidneys in the first part of the game. And I thought that he was going to be down. A little guy with 165-pound guy or whatever, he got big heart, man. Big heart. And I think he's shown that all year, man, where he plays much bigger than his size, man. At this point, we've heard all of the speculation about Tank for the size. He was given that name by his mom for the size of his head as a young boy. But I think at this point, man, you can give it to him for the size of his heart, man, because this dude here, he got back into the game, pretty quickly. He made key plays. Of course, there was that pass that was short of the end zone that that CJ threw the Tank, and Tank just turned around and finessed his way right on into the end zone, man, and then showed grit right at the goal line with three people on him. Like this dude, he's phenomenal, man, phenomenal player, man. So I definitely got to show him some love. Sheldon Rankins, man. Sheldon Rankins, salute, sir. You know what I'm saying? I know that this guy is definitely not some scrub off the scrap heap or whatever, but this dude came through with 3 crucial sacks, man. Probably could have had some more. The biggest play that I saw was the one where he missed Joe Burrow and then turned around, got back up for a guy that size, got back up real quick and got that tackle, man. So I salute to you, Sheldon Rankins, man. And then let's see, Christian Harris had a awesome day. I'm trying to run through these real quick. Motor. Got to give credit to Motor. I heard somebody last week saying that, they weren't going to call Motor because he hadn't been showing off the skills or the talent to be called that. Put some respect on his name, man. Devin Singletary has definitely been showing out, man. He just hadn't been given the opportunity to showcase, man. That's pretty much what it is. And he seems like, to me, one of those running backs that you got to give him the ball. You got to, give him the carries and let him pile up for a while, and then he gets going. But I'm going to tell you, man, straight out the gate, he had seams, he had holes, and he was busting right through them, man. So he was getting 10-yard, chunks and 14-yard chunks, and it was amazing to see that kind of who knew that we had this the whole time? We had this all season. So we got 150 yards out of Motor, man, which was amazing. I've always felt since, I saw him in Buffalo, I always felt that he was in the same situation in Buffalo where he sat behind another running back and wasn't given the opportunity as much, or he split carries and wasn't given the opportunity as much to, show his worth and get his yardage. But man, based off of what we saw yesterday, DP, hey man, listen, rest well, but it might be some effort to try to get back in and take that spot for Motor right now, man. He's putting up some good contention. Also want to give some love once again for Dario Gumbawale, man. Unsung preparedness, readiness. This man out here he's a special teams specialist. He's an assassin on the special teams. Man, like he put a hit on one of the kick returners that was so crucial. He was in on a bunch of different plays that just like little things that you just didn't see unless you watched the film over, watch the game, watch the replay of the game and ran it back or whatever. So that was dope to see. Let's see, who else do I want to give love to real quick? Oh, the O-line. Much love to the O-line because you definitely did that. You did that. I know that the protection was a little rough at times, but you were dealing with, they had a great defensive line coming and attacking, and CJ did his best to try to, squirm free as much as he could. But the O-line definitely created some holes and some lanes for Devin, and I mean, hey, phenomenal job. So what I'm saying is basically we have a collection of talent. We've got a lot of guys that are on 1-year contracts. We got a lot of guys that we've acquired over free agency and all of these different things. And then we've had a ton of injuries, and we've been bringing guys up and pulling them off other rosters or whatever, bringing them off practice squad or whatever. So essentially we have composed an island of misfit toys. And we going out there and scrapping with these guys week to week, man. It's amazing to see. And now, mind you, there's one person I haven't shown a love to yet, man, and that's, of course, CJ Stroud, man. I mean, we have a phenomenal talent at quarterback. I think we've been saying that this whole season, save for maybe the first game or whatever. But, being that, you start him out with training wheels and you got to get him up to speed and get him to where he needs to go. Then, you try to see if he's going to take a couple steps to try to get a little bit better or whatever. CJ has definitely outshined and outperformed where the expectation was for him. I think on the local scale, we noticed it first, of course. On a national scale, now they're starting to pick up on it because we've seen the debates, is he MVP? Should he be, at the top of the MVP ranks? Of course, Rookie of the Year is, solidified in a lot of people's minds, even though we're only at, week 10 right now. And so it's a lot of things that are being said about CJ, which is tremendous. It's a great time for us to be going through this experience with him. But let's be honest, man, like it's a lot of guys out there that it could have gone another way, man. We could be having the Bryce Young experience. There's a lot of people that have been sitting here saying that, they still believed in Davis Mills for a long time and that, he deserves another chance. Hey, some of us really saw CJ for what he was, man. We saw through the S2 cognition. We saw through the is he an Ohio State quarterback? All of that stuff there. We could see the talent. We could see the ball leaving his hands, the accuracy, the comfort that he had out there on the field. I think the one thing that we couldn't see is how composed he is, not just on the field, but off the field. When, I know I've heard even some people talk about how he's so nonchalant or doesn't really get emotional, doesn't get invested into. That's not at all what I've seen. I know that he maybe carries himself at a lower register when he speaks or whatever, but his content and what he says, like the profound stuff that he talks about and that he says is really deep, man. And you listen to a conversation that he may have, or you listen to his press conference post game or whatever, and he's really dropping some dimes and some gems, some nuggets, man. And this is just an amazing experience as a rookie to watch a rookie be this mature, and you can see the team revolving around him, like they're really rallying up and getting themselves worked up to where they believe now. And as his fans, we're getting to the point where we believe now. And so he's now starting to ask us to show up to the games, be out there early. Man, I might have to go ahead and scoop a couple tickets out myself and go to this Arizona Cardinals game. I haven't been to a game since the tie ball game last year with the Indianapolis Colts. I might have to turn around and make a change, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. I'm excited. I wanted to go to one of the games early this season. I plan to go into a game later in the season, but I might have to make this game coming up. So I'm excited about that, man. But let's just talk about the game itself, man. One of the things that I saw in the game planning was apparently, with us having all of the people that we had out, we did see some things last week that, I was talking about it, what I saw in the All-22, that Bobby had switched to where I sound like CJ not calling him Bobby, but Bobby Slowick had switched to where he had gone to some tighter splits where he basically had the whole offense lined up within the numbers. And so we saw a little, well, we actually saw a lot of that again this week. I guess since it worked last week, let's roll it back into this week. Why change the situation up, right? But of course, we had much better success with the run game this week. So that kind of allowed for us to have even more opportunities to work the box on the defense and try to make them, play to our strengths, if you will. I noticed that on the flip side, Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow kind of had some things where they took notes from what the Falcons did to us. And I've noticed that was the case in a couple other games this year where, especially Tampa Bay last week, where, they basically wanted to work the tight ends. They noticed that our linebackers aren't keeping up in coverage in certain coverages with the tight ends, and the tight ends have opportunities to get open, make some catches, and man, that first drive, he was killing that tight end. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was killing that tight end. I think the tight end was I think he got like maybe 5 or 6 targets on the very first drive and 5 or 6 catches, and that was probably the most catches that he had all season. But he was tremendous on that first drive. So, my feeling about it after the first drive was that, oh man, here we go. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. We're getting ready to have to face and deal with this same outcome that we normally have when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. They've studied us, they've scouted us, and they're prepared to attack our weakness. But that wasn't the case. We made an adjustment, and then all of a sudden shut them down completely. I think at one point in time I heard a stat, and I don't know if it was correct, so I'm gonna just go with a range. But at one point in time I heard a stat that said that we had stopped their next 4 or 5 drives, and they only had I think it was 22 or 32 yards total for the next 4 or 5 drives. And I was just like, this is against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, these are the same. This is the same team that went into Arrowhead and was talking crap to them about it being Burrowhead, right? I know that Burrow was has been dealing with a calf injury all year. He didn't look like it. I'm just being real. He didn't look like he was dealing or suffering with any injury this week. And I know that they had who was it? T. Higgins was out, I think, this week. But they still had Jamar Chase, who showed up later in the game, and they still had Tyler Boyd, who showed up later in the game. Not for the reason he wanted to, but when they finally got around to figuring out what they were going to do with their offense, that showed up in the second half. So we had a nice chunk of time where we had not only a lead, but the opportunity to stretch the lead and the opportunity to not be so rushed with our offense and as fans not to have so much anxiety. Of course, we expected the Cincinnati Bengals to catch up, and they did. And so when they did catch up, it wasn't the traditional feeling of, oh God, here we go, we're gonna lose. And again, as a rehabber, this is kind of what me as a fan, and I'm sure many other Texans fans have kind of fallen into, where we've really gotten apathetic about how the team is gonna treat us, or how the experience is gonna go for the game. Not had to deal with that too much this year. Just to be honest with you, just really haven't had to deal with that. And it's so freaking awesome, but at the same time, so freaking scary, man. Like, the reality of the situation is we won. CJ put the team on his back. You saw the team rally around him. You saw guys like Dalton Schultz. I was ready to bust Dalton Schultz's ass on this thing early in the game, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was hard on Dalton early in the season. Let me give him some flowers too. I was hard on him early in the season, but you could see that he's starting to get adapted to the connection with CJ. And in the beginning of the game, he had some plays where it was just like, come on, man, that's your play, man. That's what you're supposed to make. But then as the game progressed along, man, you could see him starting to step up and make those plays, man. So he made a big play, of course, again on that last drive. And you can see that CJ trusts him. He's steady throwing him the ball in good spots. They're making good connections. It's amazing to see when everything is when it's working well. I just hate that they have to go through the rough patch to get it started or whatever. But so it's progress. We have to take it. You know what I'm saying? But I've watched how the team continuity has been coming together, and it's been amazing, man. I kind of lost my train of thought for a second, but it's all good. I got so many notes here. It's just so much to cover, man. I just want to make sure I'm getting everything. But I'm gonna tell you like this. Let's cover a couple things that's kind of the up and downs of what we're seeing right now. Of course, I made that prediction. Of course, I'm sorry. I've been making the weekly predictions before the game starts, and of course, we have now started to garner a lot more of the national attention. So again, here's where I come in as a rehabber. I'm scared, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. The anxiety is starting to kick up because we've never had this much national attention for this many different things in such a tight window of time, right? When we had Matt Schaub and we had Arian Foster, we had Andre. Of course, we had our strength. I guess you could say our strongest team as a complete roster at that point in time. But the expectation was high. So, we were sitting in the Super Bowl contending window for about 2 or 3 years, which was a great time to be in as a fan because you knew what you could pretty much expect to see out of the team. We know that we were looking for them to have double-digit victories. We were looking for them to get to the playoffs consistently. We were looking for them to get over that threshold where it wasn't just the first a wild card and the first round playoff victory. But we were getting even some of the national speculation as to whether or not we would, be respected as a champion contender. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a real thing for us at a period of time. Right now, we're working with house money, right? We had no expectation that this team was even going to be like better than last year to start the thing out. We hoped that it would be the case. We hoped that CJ would be good, but we didn't even know that CJ was going to start in a lot of these senses. I did. I just didn't. I didn't respect Davis Mills' game. I'm just be honest with you. But we didn't expect that the team would be where they are right now at 5-4. Like this is a different feeling. So what started to happen? Of course, you're going to get the local team, the local news, the local speculation. The fan base is going to get hot. But what started to happen is the fact that we have now hit the point where the national media is diving all in, and you're hearing all of the noise, and you're hearing all of the the love that's being garnered on the team and on CJ in particular. What I'm concerned with is that, these guys start to hear this stuff and they start to eat it up, and we end up having some trap games. I don't want the Arizona Cardinals game to be a trap game. I don't want, the Denver Broncos game, for example, to be a trap game. I want us to continue to go in the same progression that we've been going. I don't necessarily have an expectation because I think my only expectation was for us to get 7 wins. We're sitting 2 games away from 7 wins right now. So once they hit 7 wins, or if they hit 7 wins, when they hit 7 wins, then what next, right? Like what do we expect at that point in time? We're sitting 1 game out of the first place for the division. That changes things as far as the expectation. Now we're sitting here like as fans, honestly, we're sitting here like we know what we're capable of doing. We don't want to, go back down to a week 1 type of outcome against the Ravens where, we can't run an offense. We can't execute on anything or whatever. And the defense just the same. So where do we go from here? This is a scary time as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure a lot of other fans share the same situation. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are confident and, you ride or die with the Texans regardless. I do too. But, let's be real. Like, we all want to see the Texans win, man. That's the reality of the situation as a fan base. We all want to see the Texans win. And, we don't want to see injuries. We don't want to see, the team falter. The fact that CJ just threw his 2nd interception of the season is amazing. But it's an amazing stat for something that typically would be a negative thing. But we've been through enough of those dog years where we've seen, Matt Schaub throw consecutive weeks of pick sixes. And so, when you've seen enough to know what the other thing feels like, you don't want to return back to that old thing. So now that you're up on a high, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to come down off that high. And in all respects to folks that have that experience, we're sitting at a different type of high right now. I don't want to come down, man. So we want to enjoy this and ride it out as long as it goes. Sky's the limit, but of course, we don't know what. So it's a great time. It's just it's anxious, you know what I'm saying? But it's a great time. I'd rather be on this side of it than where we were the last couple of years, man. I'll just be honest with you, man. So let's talk about the big winners and losers. The big winners and losers based off of how everything's been going so far this year, just like this. Watch this. the S2 cognition people, sorry, man, y'all's S2 cognition test sucks. It just got to go. I mean, all the stock is completely down on that at this point, man. CJ probably ranked the lowest that's probably ever taken the S2 cognition test, and you can see what it, what's the relationship to the S2 cognition test to what they perform on the field. The dude can play football, and I say that to a lot of folks that take these, these pre-draft rankings, and these talking heads that do that, especially the Mel Kipers. I got a real big problem with Mel Kiper, but you see these guys that they'll love up a prospect and all of this stuff here, and they completely forbade everything that happened in this guy's college career. You know what I'm saying? They completely forget everything that he did on the field or whatever, and they start to nitpick all the little things that he couldn't do or didn't show you or whatever. And you can see, man, given the opportunity, some of these guys, they just needed the chance. You see this every year, man. You got Tom Brady, just needed the chance. You got Antonio Brown, for as crazy as he is, 6th round draft pick, I believe. He just needed the chance. Michael Thomas, 7th round draft pick. He just needed the chance. These guys, you can get talent anywhere. I don't think that it matters what round that they were drafted in. I just think it's a matter of a pairing of what team that they're on, the opportunity that they get, and basically, can they ball? That's they could be dumb as a doorknob. Can they ball? If you got a guy that can ball, just put him on a team, put him in the perfect situation. Give him the rocks, give him the opportunity, do what he needs to do, and let him ball. That's how it goes, man. Let's see, another loser. Bryce Young and the Panthers, man. Let's just be real. Now, Bryce Young still's got, he still has time to grow. He still has a chance to grow, man, within the offense, within his career and all of that stuff there. He's not going to grow physically, of course. But, sorry, I just had to do that. Pun intended. Whatever. But, Bryce has the opportunity to grow in his career and do bigger and better things. I think the Panthers definitely have to reestablish or retool that team and put better talent around him. But right now, compared to CJ, it's not looking good, man, because one of them was a guy that you saw do it in college. The other one was a guy that you saw do some things in college, but he was probably for a full cycle better team, if you will. Much better talent overall, better coaching, all of that stuff there. So when you look at the comparison now, where you eliminate the supporting cast and you have to start from basically level ground, it just looks way better over here than it does over there. So Panthers are big losers right now. And then again, back to the draft pundits or whatever, I think the scouts are going to start turning around and going around looking at the candidates next year and, hey, is this a CJ? Is this a CJ? I think that the VPs and execs from any NFL office are going to be scouting their quarterbacks, and they're trying to see, okay, does he compare to CJ? They're not going to be looking to compare him to Bryce Young. They're going to be looking to compare these guys to CJ. So, all those guys are big losers. The big winners are Oklahoma State University, man. Listen, OSU is definitely in a good spot because they get to kind of shed themselves of the burden of having that he's just the Ohio State quarterback. Being that this is definitely hands down the best Ohio State quarterback, this sheds a new light on that program, and so that's a big win for Oklahoma State University. I have to be mindful not to say OSU since there's another one that's out there. Let's see, Nick Caserio, he's a big winner. Nick Caserio is a big winner because he definitely did the legwork to bring in a bunch of guys. He definitely picked. He gets the credit for picking C.J. Stroud. He gets the credit for doing the hustle work to make the deal to get Will Anderson Jr., Tank Dell, all of these guys, man, and assembling the crew that he has. And then all of these guys that he got off free agency, these 1-year contracts, and then it rolls over to next year when we have to add in free agents again. You know what I'm saying? So where these guys have 1-year deals, we may have to extend some guys like Dalton Schultz. Maybe Motor gets an extension. I think Steven Nelson, got his deal reworked. There's a number of guys that have deals on the table that will need to get attended to. And so there's a good opportunity to get some money there for some guys. But then at the same token, being that we have this guy getting this national attention, being that we have the team getting the national attention, being that we got a solid head coach that's getting some national attention, listen, that's going to bring a whole lot of free agents to the yard, man. So this is going to be a great time for us to be able to absorb some of that talent across the league. People that want to be here, that want to play, want to ball for us, man. This is going to be a dope opportunity overall. And so I look forward to that too, man. But, yo, I really want to hear back from you guys, man. Like, this is a wonderful experience. This is a great time. I know my video's getting a little long, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up here. But man, I haven't been filled with this much joy about a team in a long time. I'm gonna be honest with you. And so here's my question to you: where does this rank for you? Does this rank for you on the same level as it was for Love You Blue? For those of you that have been around since the Love You Blue years, man, I know my boy M Gentle is out there. He's I always tell him that he's, you know, I was a big fan of the Love You Blue years or whatever. I was a youngster when the Love You Blue was going on. I was a little baby or whatever, but I was old enough to remember the Oilers. That was my first team coming up and all of that stuff. So I did Love You Blue in a certain sense, Warren Moon years and all of that stuff there. But in my time with the Texans, this to me is about as close as I can get to a Love You Blue. And I'm gonna tell you, the hinge point for me is again the expectations, right? We don't have an expectation, so it's all love at this point. It's all, you know, rainbows and lollipops, as I tend to say sometimes. And that type of experience that we're having, it's all fresh and new, and we're getting a nice reset from what we had in the years past, so we can start with something that's very promising right now. So this feels different than those years that we had when I said, like, we had Matt Schaub and all of those things. This feels different when we had OB ruining the franchise. This feels different than when we had Kubiak and everything was looking up, and then he was having, you know, health ailments on the sideline or whatever. This just feels different. We don't have the expectation to get this thing out of whack, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So we're just trying to enjoy this and ride it as far as it'll go. And so we'll take that chance. We'll take that experience, and we'll roll with it, man. Let's see. My expectations for this coming game, of course, we have the Arizona Cardinals. They have brought back Kyler Murray. You know, the team itself has not been great, but we definitely we don't want to get caught in the trap game. Let's just call it what it is. You know, Kyler Murray is a tremendous running threat. He can throw the ball a little bit too. They do have good tight ends, so we're probably going to see another lean on tight end situation offensively for them. The biggest issue is that we have a suspension that's in front of us right now. Denzel Perryman was suspended for 3 games for NFL doing NFL crap, man. Apparently he hit somebody with his helmet the wrong way, and that's causing some problems somewhere or whatever. I don't know. But, will we be able to get through these type of issues? Of course, we got other injuries that we're dealing with and contending with still, to be determined. I think once we find out what the actives and inactives are, then we'll have a better picture. I hope that the Texans can put together a good game plan defensively. That's really my biggest concern. I think offensively, we'll see what comes. But I think that Bobby will come up with a good solution, man. So I'm going to wrap this up, man. I want to keep it short, and here it is. I'm almost 30 minutes in, man. So listen, till next time, I'll touch base with you soon. I'm going to chop this up, make several videos, put it out there, man. I appreciate you guys supporting me, man. If you get an opportunity, give me a like, give me a follow, subscribe, all of that stuff. Hit the ding for when the next videos come out or whatever. And, man, I appreciate you. Till next time, I'll see you later. Texas Fan in Rehab, I'm out.